Vulnerable residents have been urged to leave the Latrobe Valley town of Morwell South amid growing concerns about the health effects of the Hazelwood coal mine fire. The blaze has been burning for 3 weeks and is likely to continue for at least another 10 days. Those advised to leave town include people over the age of 65, children under school age, pregnant women and anyone with a pre-existing heart or lung condition. Financial assistance will be available to people who need to move. We begin our coverage tonight with Frances Bell.
For 3 weeks, Morwell residents have been choking on plumes of smoke. Now, amid growing community anger, authorities have decided to act.
This is not an evacuation. It's an advice for temporary relocation until the air quality improves.
The advice is targeted at residents in Morwell South, considered most at risk.
Those over 65, children under school age, pregnant women and anyone with a pre-existing heart or lung condition.
Eligible residents can apply for relocation grants.
I've instructed the Department of Human Services to be compassionate and generous in these circumstances.
We stand ready to receive a request from Victoria for assistance under the natural disaster arrangements, and we will activate our part immediately.
For residents left behind, authorities warn the fire won't be extinguished for at least another 10 days.
Next week, the 4th week of the fire, there's 2 days that bring wind, dry conditions and heat. That worries us.
The Chief Medical Officer, the EPA and the government insist the conditions in Morwell are uncomfortable but not unsafe. But a respiratory expert who's been advising the Health Department says at this point no one can be sure, and it's prudent for the most vulnerable to leave now.
We're entering an evidence-free zone. We haven't encountered this before. We know that exposure over many years does have irreversible effects. We don't know about exposure for weeks.
The Premier has defended not advising residents to leave earlier.
The decisions we're making as a government certainly are not affected by any indication of cost or liability.
The government's promised an investigation into the fire and the response. The Greens and the opposition are calling for an independent inquiry. Frances Bell, ABC News.